Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, 28 Jamaicans were murdered in the last 8 days.
But murders are down 26% since the start of the year.
Tax relief remains a key expectation as the Finance Minister Favour Williams opens the budget debate tomorrow.
PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell summons party caretakers to an emergency meeting as anticipation mounts for the naming of the date for the general election.
The Prime Minister says new investments are coming to build resilience in the country's health sector.
Next time Jamaica faces a crisis, and there will be another crisis, we just don't know what it is going to be or when it will be. But whenever it is, we are in a better position to respond to crises.
In news from the rest of the world, Guatemala's volcano of fire erupts and forces evacuations.
Massive outage on social media platform X today due to a cyber attack.
In headline sports, Trinidad and Tobago women were crowned champions of the CG United Women's Super 50.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the Finance Minister Favour Williams is set to deliver her maiden budget presentation tomorrow. What are the expectations? We'll hear from economist Dr. Adrian Stokes and President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, St. Patrice Ennis.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, what are you expecting from Favour Williams' budget presentation? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
We'll have all these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90FM, Nationwide Radio JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, March 10, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. 28 Jamaicans were murdered over the last 8 days. The grim figure comes amid an overall 26% decline in murders since the start of the year. That's according to the latest statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Norgay Banton has more in this report.
The 28 lives snuffed out over the first 8 days in March follows a record drop in murders last month. February recorded its lowest monthly murder total in more than 2 decades. 47 Jamaicans were killed. But despite approximately 3 murders per day since the start of March, the country has recorded an overall 26% drop in murders. The latest crime data from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, says up to March 8, 145 homicides had been committed in the country. That's 51 fewer than the 196 murders recorded in the corresponding period last year. St. Andrew South continues to be a hotspot, leading the country's murder tally with 28 Jamaicans killed in the division since the start of the year. St. Catherine South is second with 16 murders. 5 divisions across the country have seen an increase in murders since the start of the year. They are St. Mary, Portland, St. Andrew South, West Kingston, St. Catherine South, and St. Andrew North. The uptick in murders in the traditionally peaceful Portland has drawn the attention of its political representatives. On Sunday, MP for West Portland, Darrell Vaz, voiced concern about the increase in homicides.
I am very concerned and very upset in relation to the upsurge in crime in Portland. We are not accustomed to drive-by shootings, and we have had 2 in the last few days. We are not accustomed to that. We have been accustomed to being the safest parish for decades, and we have lost that position.
Vaz says much of the crime in the parish has been imported from elsewhere.
I have been the Member of Parliament from 2007 to 2025, and everything remained calm. My wife has been there from 2019, 6 years, to 2025. We have seen an influx of importees and deportees, and I'm calling on the Police High Command tonight and the Minister of National Security. Flush them out and flush them out quick, no matter who they are or who they represent. We are not going to tolerate it. And I can tell you that I will be on it from now until we restore Portland to its original state of peace and safety.
5 murders have been recorded in Portland since the start of the year. There were 2 murders over the corresponding period last year. Nora Gay Banton for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the JCF crime statistics show shootings have declined by 21%, coming in at 147 up to March 8. Rapes are down by 65% across the country, while robberies have declined by 17%. The JCF data reveals that since the start of the year, break-ins have increased by 15%, coming in at 190. That's 26 more than recorded for the corresponding period last year.
Tax relief remains the key expectation as the budget debate opens in the House of Representatives tomorrow. Members of both the private and public sectors expect the government to make good on promises not to increase taxes. Similarly, they expect further tax reductions as a key deliverable when Minister of Finance Favour Williams opens the debate. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
On Tuesday, Minister of Finance Favour Williams will give better particulars as to the government's spending plans for the upcoming fiscal year. The $1.3 trillion budget was tabled in the House of Representatives last month. Expectations are high among Jamaicans as this budget will take the government into the next general elections, with polls suggesting a tight and competitive race. President of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, Philip Ramson, says the government must stay the course of tax relief. This will not only drive economic development, but also ease the burden on Jamaicans.
You know, we had spoken to her on things like the taxes on dividends, that I thought that would be something that they could consider removing. We also spoke to her about reducing some of the duties on some of the industries that really we don't produce stuff here. For example, on clothing, because with the increase of the threshold when you're importing or you're coming into the airport from $500 to $1,000, it put a lot of pressure on some of the brick and mortar businesses. And so that duty that we have on those businesses is currently at 40% for clothing to bring it down. So we're hoping to see some of that. And also really the threshold on income tax, I think, needs to go up as salaries have gone up over the last year.
Supporting the call for further tax relief is President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, St. Patrice Ennis. However, the JCTU president is also calling on the government to make its intentions clear as to its posture for upcoming wage negotiations. This is in light of repeated calls from fiscal monitors to limit expenditure of public sector salaries.
What is happening with respect to the starting of negotiations and whether what the government is contemplating with respect to, you had the Financial Commission making statements in recent times, and you have, which was consistent with what the gentleman from EPOC would have said, and the BOJ governor with respect to restricting payments for the public sector waiver. I don't expect my comment is that I do not expect the minister to make any statement endorsing those sentiments, and and that she's open to a negotiation process, and the process will determine where we end up.
Meanwhile, chartered accountant and financial commentator Dennis Chung says the government is already on the right path in terms of fiscal and economic indicators. He's calling on the minister to commit to staying the course.
You remember the Prime Minister would have said that there's not going to be any new taxes this year. So this means the 9th year of no new taxes. No, that's significant. And I think, therefore, once that message is sent, it shows that the message that they might be coming with tomorrow is one that the fiscal discipline has paid off, right? So that they're able to do more things now. We have took the sacrifice. We have gone through the whole fiscal prudence to ensure that the country is in a right place, and now we are starting to see the benefits of.
All eyes are now on Minister Williams as she delivers the government's crucial pre-election budget as it seeks an unprecedented third term in office. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Nationwide News understands that PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell has summoned all those it expects to field as candidates to what he describes as an emergency meeting. Dr. Campbell says the meeting is to discuss plans for the upcoming elections. The meeting is scheduled to take place at the Mico University College Lecture Theatre in St. Andrew on Sunday, March 16 at 10 a.m. Dr. Campbell gave the instruction in an email sent recently. The email has been obtained by Nationwide News. Dr. Campbell told comrades that attendance at the meeting is mandatory. He ended the email by stating, quote, "Yours in comradeship," end quote, and telling the comrades to acknowledge receipt of the correspondence. The move by the PNP General Secretary comes ahead of general elections, which are constitutionally due this year. However, speculation has been intensifying in political circles whether Prime Minister and JLP leader Dr. Andrew Holness will call the general elections a few months early.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says new investments are coming for the country's health sector. He was speaking earlier today at a ceremony to unveil a monument at the National Chest Hospital to honor healthcare workers who died while working to protect Jamaicans during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have been able to increase investment in healthcare. Significant when Minister Tufton comes to speak in the sectoral debate. I'm sure that he will outline the massive investments that we have made, in addition to new plans and in addition to plans to increase the care and heart in healthcare. This means that the next time Jamaica faces a crisis, there will be another crisis. We just don't know what it is going to be or when it will be. But whenever it is, we are in a better position to respond to crises.
The Prime Minister says the government is committed to building resilience in the health sector.
It is out of a commitment to strengthening the healthcare system and to strengthen the healthcare workforce that we launched the Dr. Barry Wint Memorial Scholarship in 2024. Investing $2.5 billion to support 607 students pursuing studies in medical technology, nursing, biomedical engineering, and other critical health-related fields. It ensures that we are building a robust pipeline of professionals dedicated to service in the health sector. And this is a solid commitment of how the government is dealing with building resilience in the system, supporting our professionals, and at the same time ensuring that we can deliver health care with care.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says it's important to maintain resilience in all aspects of the Jamaican economy.
Some may wonder why at times economic matters seem to dominate our national conversation. Or why is it that I bring economic matters into all elements of our national conversations? Well, the answer is that economic resilience translates to resilience of every aspect of our government, including our healthcare system, in our education system, in our security forces, but most importantly, in our ability to respond to crisis. If our economy isn't doing well, we cannot respond adequately and effectively.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
And the Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton hailed the healthcare workers who died during the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Today marks the 5th anniversary of the first case of COVID-19 being recorded in Jamaica.
These workers stood by bedsides and encouraged patients when their loved ones could not, prepared meals, delivered babies, sanitized facilities, looked after the well-being of all. They went above and beyond the call of duty. What is more, their legacy endures in the lives that were saved through their effort, in the memories of the moments shared on and off the job, and in the inspiration that fuels our efforts as a Minister of Health and Wellness and as the government of Jamaica to continue to honor and to celebrate these healthcare heroes.
Today is also 4 years since the first COVID-19 vaccine was administered. The health minister says the government remains committed to supporting healthcare workers, especially those working on the front lines.
This near 10 feet tall monument is not merely a memorial. It is also a promise to continue to honor the sacrifice of our healthcare heroes by building stronger healthcare systems and continuing to support those who serve on the front lines. It is my hope that this place can be one where reflection happens, where we are reminded to be grateful, and where we recommit ourselves to realizing a better future in public health for all, at all ages.
That's Dr. Christopher Tufton, the country's Minister of Health and Wellness. You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius here in capital city Kingston. It's 28 out west in Montego Bay.
Brother, the government has sell them shares in a Trans-Jamaican highway, you know?
Yeah, man, not have them big money there.
Nah, man, all you need is at least $3,600. You can...
On the road. Trans-Jamaican Highway offer for sale opens March 4 and closes March 18, 2025. Visit NCB Capital Markets Limited Go IPO website at goipo.jncb.com or JMMB Moneyline to apply for shares. Conditions apply. Investing involves risks. Please review the prospectus and speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions.
Continuing the news, Culture Minister Olivia Grange says the work is being done at Fort Rocky in alignment with the ministry's effort to transform the area into an entertainment venue. The minister made the comment amid concerns from the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, about what it describes as construction activities taking place without its approval.
The development of Fort Rocky as an entertainment venue has been years in the making. In fact, Fort Rocky was announced as the entertainment zone. And as Port Royal was built out with the cruise ship pier and looking at other facilities there, we declared the area an entertainment zone, and included in the zone is the Fort Rocky facility. It has been a lengthy process because we took the time to engage with agencies and to conduct an ecological assessment of the site, as well as a survey of flora and fauna and a study of sound and light.
The works are being spearheaded by the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, JNHT, a statutory body in the Ministry of Culture. But according to the KSAMC, the terms of its development are yet to be finalized through a multi-agency partnership. The KSAMC's concerns are supported by the PNP. Opposition spokesperson on the environment and ecological heritage, Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns, says the destruction of mangroves and haphazard development is putting the environment and ecological heritage at risk. Both the KSAMC and the National Environment and Planning Agency have issued enforcement notices on the development. Minister Grange says her ministry has been meeting with the relevant stakeholders to address the concerns.
I therefore ask the Permanent Secretary Bernard, to meet with the relevant entities and to discuss the concerns. 2 meetings have already been held, and a 3rd meeting is scheduled to be held shortly. I want to indicate that there is no intention to bypass any of the relevant agencies that should be involved in these developments. And I will ensure that all our agencies are compliant. So whatever concerns there are now, those concerns are being addressed.
Olivia Grange, Minister of Culture and Entertainment. She was speaking at the Standing Finance Committee on Friday.
The opposition spokesman on education, Senator Damien Crawford, says teachers who have given long serve let's do that again. Teachers who have given long years of service in the classroom should benefit from housing and vehicle concessions. This was one of the recommendations he's put forward to help reduce the issue of teacher migration from Jamaica.
We're also going to fight to teach and keep our teachers in the schools. Good teachers are now becoming unavailable, being recruited by the United States and England with wanton disregard for the realities that we face. So much so that we don't even know when they're leaving until school ready to start. And to this point, we have only mentioned that they're leaving without putting a retention plan for teachers to stay. But we feel that it must be easier for a teacher to own a home and a vehicle. And so we will negotiate with the NHT, but also for every 5 years that a teacher remain in the classroom, they will get concession consideration of increasing levels.
Speaking at a PNP forum in East Portland on Sunday, the PNP senator put forward other measures he believes could stem the tide of teacher migration. These include student loan forgiveness and a centralized recruitment process.
And we will also go to the embassies to negotiate a strategy of recruitment that allows us to plan better for the absence of teachers. We have situations, even in Portland, where you have some PE teachers teaching maths class because you don't have a maths teacher. So we must have a system that the recruiter should come to a centralized area to say we are interested in ABC, and we then become prepared for the loss of ABC. But to satisfy that migration, we're going to go into the universities and say to those who graduate, we put in a Teach First program. That if you're willing to go in the classroom for the first 2 years after graduation, we will forgive 1% of your student loan.
Senator Damian Crawford, the opposition spokesman on education.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Guatemala's volcano fire is erupting. The eruption started overnight, spewing gas and ash far into the sky. The authorities have evacuated nearly 300 families while warning that another 30,000 people in the area could be at risk. Schools in the vicinity and a key road connecting communities have also been closed. There's no immediate report of casualties. The 12,300-foot-high volcano is one of the most active in Central America. It last erupted in June 2023. A 2018 eruption killed 194 people and left another 234 missing.
The social media platform X was the victim of a massive cyber attack today. Ex-CEO Elon Musk described the attack as no ordinary breach. Musk, in a statement on the platform, suggested that the attack was carried out with significant resources, likely orchestrated by either a well-coordinated group, a nation-state, or both. The attack, which is known as a distributed denial-of-service assault, overwhelmed X's servers, leaving thousands of users unable to access the platform. Reports of outages peaked at about 10 this morning and 2 in the afternoon in the UK, with over 40,000 users experiencing disruptions. Error messages flooded screens, while frustrated users took to other social media outlets to voice their concerns. The disruption marked the third major outage of the day, highlighting the sustained intensity of the assault. Shortly after the attack began, a hacking group known as Dark Storm Team claimed responsibility via the messaging service Telegram. Despite the severity of the attack, X showed signs of recovery approximately 40 minutes after Musk confirmed the breach. However, access remained inconsistent, especially on Apple devices.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, 28 Jamaicans were murdered in the last 8 days.
But murders are down 26% since the start of the year.
Tax relief remains a key expectation as the Finance Minister, Favour Williams, is set to open the budget debate tomorrow.
PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell summons party caretakers to an emergency meeting as anticipations mount for the naming of a date for the general elections.
Messi and Inter Miami arrive Wednesday night for big Cavalier clash. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO.
I-P-O.
With Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
Pedestrians, don't assume vehicles will stop. Always be aware of your surroundings. Remember, always use a sidewalk and pedestrian crossing where available. Safety is a two-way street, so look out before you step out. A message from the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Our talent development and management agency, WEI Sport, has unveiled plans to build a state-of-the-art indoor track and field complex right here in Jamaica. Carl Wilkins of WEI Sport says the move to build a first-of-its-kind facility in the region is to unlock untapped potential in Jamaica's track and field. William Mitchell has more.
Wilkins says he's well aware that Jamaica is one of the real heavy hitters in global athletics, but he believes there's more opportunities on which athletes can capitalize.
If you notice, a lot of our athletes don't participate in indoor events overseas much. I mean, they do, but not to the extent that, the Europeans and a lot of the folks. So I just feel that's opportunity there for our athletes to get more involved in international events.
Wilkins argues that temperatures hovering close to 40 degrees Celsius or over 100 degrees Fahrenheit still represents a danger to athletes' health and well-being. According to Wilkins, they're looking at a 2027 opening date for the facility, with plans afoot to break ground in 2026. The facility is projected to cost $12 million, half of which Wilkins has already secured.
But having an indoor facility where we can do training, our kids from, prep school coming up, if members want to join and get real good professional training, because we're going to have professional coaches. We're going to have physical therapy situations where you can have that, saunas, things like that. We just want to bring something of class to track and field, that Jamaica don't have.
He says the aim is to nurture young athletes to boost Jamaica's talent pool, using a model similar to the YMCA in America for young participants. Meanwhile, Wilkins says the facility will be in central Jamaica, possibly in St. Ann.
And so we would have the indoor 200-meter track. We have the 60-meter track. We have that, and the high jump, the long jump, all our things that we focus on, 400 and 4x1s. Things like that. So I just want to bring it inside a little bit. Now we have...
Wilkins says efforts are underway to engage the government and local track and field bodies like the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association. William Mitchell for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you very much, William. Caribbean football champions Cavalier today received the major sponsorship boost ahead of their crunch showdown with Inter Miami in the second leg of their CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16, a showdown at the National Stadium on Thursday evening. Red Stripe will be the official beer partner for the game. They'll donate $5 million to Cavalier. Sports Development Foundation, SDF, has contributed $10 million. Wisynco has contributed $3.5 million and will be the official hydration partner, while the Jamaica Tourist Board will underwrite the cost of the entire Cavalier aggregation, including its players, coaches, and backroom staff, staying at the Marriott Courtyard for 3 nights leading up to and after the game. Rudolph Speed is technical director at Cavalier, and he told Nationwide Sports that they're happy the hard work is finally paying off.
In life, sometimes you can push, but sometimes you have to pull. I think Cavalier has done a good job in trying to say, listen, this can work, and see it here in Live and Living Color working. As you can see, our model, Caribbean flavor, young players, and based on where we put ourselves, these opportunities would have come where arguably the best player in the world is going to come to Jamaica to play against a local team in a competitive match.
Director of Tourism, Donovan White, who hosted today's press briefing, says this is a win-win for Jamaica and its tourism product as well as Cavalier Football Club.
It is fortuitous for Jamaica and sports tourism to have this kind of cascade happening at the National Stadium this Thursday. And we felt it was important that the marketing agency for Jamaica around the world help to showcase our local talent, but most importantly, its destination. Inter Miami FC, we anticipate, will be carrying quite a few visitors to Jamaica. They have quite a bit of following in Miami, albeit because of Messi, I'm sure, and they will want to go wherever he goes to watch him play, and we want to welcome them as well.
Meanwhile, the Inter Miami team with their Argentine superstar Leo Messi are due in the island at about 6 o'clock on Wednesday. They go straight to the hotel, no training. They go straight into the game the following day. They're in and out. Cavalier lost the first leg 2-0 in Florida on Thursday last. The winner of the game on aggregate will advance to the quarterfinals. And finally, in sports, at this time, Montego Bay United were leading relegation-threatened Chapelton Maroons by 1-0 at sports time in the first game of a Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League doubleheader at the Tony Spalding Complex. The goal came on minute 16. The feature game will see second place Arnott Gardens facing the red-hot Racing United, who are pushing for a top 6 spot. That game is set to kick off at 7:45. And we're going to be back with more sports at 6:05 this evening.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:32.
The Conference of Choice is back. Join us April 29 to 30 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel Kingston and online for the world's only Middle Managers Leadership Conference. Hear from 30 business leaders across 4 continents. Expand your network, gain strategies, and elevate your leadership. Learn, connect, and grow with experts. Limited on-site spaces available. Register now at makeyourmarkgroup.com or call 876-978-60022. MMC 2025, a legacy of transformation and execution.
Win with love. Use your JMMB Money Transfer Prepaid Visa Card from October 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025 for a chance to win your share of a $2.1 million grand prize, plus a $100,000 university cash grant and cash back from paying tolls and shopping with your card. Receive money 24/7 in minutes with Visa Direct via MoneyGram, Zoom, Remitly, or directly through RIA and Zoom. Visit jm.jmnb.com/money-transfer for full details on how to enter and win with love. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Come taste the beef with Tasty Cheese. This Easter, we're back bigger and better. The Tasty team will be at St. William Grant Park in downtown Kingston, Saturday, March 8th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Save the date and don't be late. Come vibe to some tasty beats. You could win prizes and surprises. Special sale on Dairy Industries products. Other food and drink will also be on sale.
Taste the beat.
Tasty beats with tasty cheese.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Our Total Tools. Beat waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything your job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
How are this
For
on my
more
TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently? But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor figure check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake?
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
For women standing tall and strong, Sagicor celebrates International Women's Day all month long. For her day, her deals. 7,500 bonus points on new Sagicor Bank credit cards. Special rates on auto loans and mortgages. Discounted trading fees from Sagicor Investments. A free dash cam or tire inflator with Ultimate Woman Auto Insurance from Advantage General Insurance. Plus, tailored products like our Sagicor Life Total Woman Life Insurance Plan. Accelerate action towards financial empowerment. Call 888-SAGICOR. Conditions apply.
Nationwide 90 FM wants to help you find your home sweet home with all things real estate. A 15-minute program during Nationwide this morning, every Wednesday at 8:35 a.m. All Things Real Estate gives you expert advice on how to navigate the process of owning any real estate, from residential and commercial to industrial or even vacant real estate. We'll guide you through every square foot of information. Now, let's turn that for sale into sold with All Things Real Estate every Wednesday at 8:35 a.m. on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
Good afternoon, listeners. My name is Ricardo Brooks. Good afternoon, Cliff.
Good afternoon, Ricardo. And we're being joined by our parliamentary reporter, Siobhan Campbell. Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon, Cliff, and good afternoon, Ricardo, and good
Hey,
afternoon
Chef.
to our listeners.
Good. Well, in our cover story this afternoon, tomorrow is Budget Day. The Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Favour Williams, is set to make her maiden presentation in the 2025-26 budget. The proposed budget stands at approximately $1.3 trillion, maintaining the fiscal trajectory of the previous year.
Already, the minister is saying she will not authorize the kind of pre-election spending that has compromised the management of the country's fiscal accounts under previous administrations. Now, this budget presentation will outline the government's strategies for financing the proposed expenditures.
It's also expected to address key areas such as economic growth, social services, and infrastructure development. Stakeholders are anticipating measures to bolster economic resilience, enhance public services, and provide sustainable development.
Members of both the private and public sectors expect the government to make good on promises not to increase taxes. President of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, Philip Ramson, says the government must stay the course of tax relief. This will not only drive economic development, he says, but also ease the burden on Jamaicans.
You know, we had spoken to her on things like the taxes on dividends, that I thought that would be something that they could consider removing. We also spoke to her about reducing some of the duties on some of the industries that really we don't produce stuff here. For example, on clothing, because with the increase of the threshold when you're importing or you're coming into the airport from $500 to $1,000, it put a lot of pressure on some of the brick and mortar businesses. And so that duty that we have on those businesses is currently at 40% for clothing to bring it down. So we're hoping to see some of that. And also really the threshold on income tax, I think, needs to go up as salaries have gone up over the last year.
Philip Ramson, president of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, speaking with at Nationwide News. Supporting the call for further tax relief is president of the Confederation of Trade Unions, St. Patrice Ennis. However, the JCTU president is also calling on the government to make its intentions clear on its posture for upcoming wage negotiations.
Of course, this is in light of repeated calls from fiscal monitors to limit expenditure of public sector salaries. And in the meantime, chartered accountant and financial commentator Dennis Chung is saying that the government is already on the right path in terms of fiscal and economic indicators. So he's calling on the minister to commit to staying that course.
We're now being joined by Dr. Adrian Stokes, economist and president of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, St. Patrice Ennis. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let me begin with you, Dr. Stokes. Siobhan is, of course, with us in studio. What are the key things you're looking out for tomorrow from Finance Minister Favour Williams?
Well, the first thing is to ensure that we complete the current fiscal year in a relatively sound way. The government projects to have taxes at around $896 billion. It might be a little bit short based on my estimation, given where taxes are or how taxes are growing year over year, currently at 4%. And then going forward, it has to ensure that the 25-26 budget is sound in the sense that when you look at the wages are now eating up a lot of the budget. Up to January of this year, it's taking up about 55% of tax revenues. No, that's not sustainable. Something has to give. The wage bill at January was $370 billion. In the 25-26 fiscal year, that will come out at about $453 billion, close to about 48-49% of tax revenues. So something has to give there. It's about 13% of GDP. Then once the government settles, I'm not sure what will be said or how it will rein in the wages. It's just way out of whack right now. But it needs to put in place a medium-term framework to curtail that situation. As I indicated, it's just not sustainable. Government also needs to, given what's happening with public sector wages, talk about resources to invest in health, education, and security. Government also needs to focus on policies to modernize the economy. We have done well with BPO, has been very good, especially for young people, and in driving down the unemployment rate. We now need to pivot to move to knowledge processing. We need to utilize a significant amount of the trained resources that we have in Jamaica, legal and otherwise, and compete with areas like Cayman, Bahamas, Barbados, with positioning Jamaica as a knowledge center for international companies that are looking for a hospitable home. Mm-hmm. These are some of the things that the government will have to do to drive, further growth. But, that being said, the finance minister will be presenting the budget with a fairly good macroeconomic backdrop. Debt to GDP will close this year at about 68%. That's coming from well over 100% a few years ago. Net international reserves are over $5 billion, so that is very, very good. So those robust macroeconomic indicators provide a decent platform for fiscal sustainability. And importantly, forgive me, Cliff, for repeating, but the government needs to figure out public sector wages and public sector transformation.
Yeah.
So far, the only thing that has been transformed are wages. It now needs to figure out real and proper public sector transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Stokes, St. Patrice Ennis, hold it there for us. You're up on the break. Let's take the break and come back with more.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
15 minutes to 6.
The NWC's bill-free promotion is here. Be one of 350 persons to get $20,000 water credit when you pay your bill in full every month until March 31, 2025. And there's more. Oh yes, you can win $300,000, $200,000 or $100,000 cash in the NWC's bill-free promotion if you register for e-bill and pay your bill in full every month until March 31. Conditions apply. Visit nwcjamaica.com for details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act, a part of the NWC's bucket full of goodies.
Corian Solid Surface, so versatile and beautiful. It's non-porous, no sealing necessary, renewable and repairable, so easy to clean and maintain, and can be thermoformed into any shape. Choose Corian, the #1 solid surface in the world, when you want beauty and the best for your countertop. Visit Home International Limited, located at 104 Constance Ring Road. Telephone 755-1970
or 276-6448.
It's tax season. Time to reach for your checkbook or dole out the cash. Or maybe not. Discover an easier way to pay your taxes. Use your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. You'll get a 1-month payment holiday, up to 55 days interest-free, and unlimited rewards points on every dollar you spend. Discover how easy and convenient it is to pay your taxes with your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. Don't have a Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card? Visit Sagicor.com to apply for yours today. Conditions apply.
It's the eve of the maiden budget presentation of Finance Minister Favour Williams. We're looking ahead to her presentation. We have with us economist Dr. Adrian Stokes and President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, St. Patrice Ennis. We also have our parliamentary reporter, Siobhan Campbell, here in studio. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Cliff Hughes.
And St. Patrice Ennis, I want to pick up with you. You heard from Dr. Stokes the pace at which the wage bill is growing unsustainable. And obviously, after granting those massive increases, we have not seen the kind of productivity returns that we would have hoped. So I'm wondering, what would be your strategy, the Confederation of Trade Unions, going into the next round of negotiations?
Well, I've heard a lot of persons, including the Fiscal Commission, the Bank of Jamaica Governor, the EPOC chairman, and now Dr. Stokes, focusing or at least mentioning the wage bill. I think before you look at the wage bill, before we focus on that, the government ought to think of what sort of public sector it needs. It can't be expanding the public sector and say at the same time we need to constrain or restrict wage bill. That is counterintuitive. We can't be expanding the public sector, new routes, looking to build hospitals, needing to employ more policemen, needing to employ more specialists in myriad areas, and at the same time we are saying that our wage bills are going up. Indeed, we recognize that we had an increase in recent times, consequent on the public sector review or the public sector restructuring. That was necessary because we had a problem of retaining our specialists, persons with specialized skill sets. We could not maintain or retain many of those persons who we need for particular areas, whether it is within the FSC, whether it is within our health sector. No public sector or no government or no country can really develop without a proper public sector. Now,
Mr. Ennis, I don't think any of us disagree with that. But the point is, having granted those significant increases, we're still not seeing the kind of productivity levels that will drive the growth that can sustain them.
It is not
what
the
Dr.
public
Stokes is saying.
sector that drives the growth. The public sector is a facilitator. It is the private sector that really drives the growth.
No, but the productivity is not there to facilitate the growth that you're talking about. Is my
No. What I'm saying to you is that we ought to, before you embark on such a discussion, these are questions that one ought to consider. Right? Before we embark, we need to consider, for example, what is it that we would want the public sector to do? What services we want the public sector to do and pay for? What is it we would want the public sector to do and not pay for? What is it we would want the public sector to not do and not pay for? We need to answer those questions before we will begin to talk about what the budget or the size of the public sector is. And when we do answer those questions, then we can embark on a serious conversation of what the public sector wage bill to GDP is. But it cannot be forever expanding, and then we talk about wage restraint. We need to answer those questions, and those questions have not been answered in any real detailed form.
Adrian, Dr. Stokes, you heard that?
Yeah, so very good questions that have been put on the table. I would add another to it. What is it that the country can afford? Which is the binding constraint. And then what is it that we actually receive for the salaries that we pay? So that's important, right? Mm-hmm. And so far we have not seen any transformation in the public sector. As I indicated, what we have seen is a massive movement in salaries, so much so that literally all of the fiscal space has gone to public sector wages. And this is a major challenge that the finance minister will have tomorrow and going forward. How to allocate resources to other priority areas that are critical to security, education, health, modernizing the economy. Where will these resources come from when wages are eating up 50 cents out of every tax dollar that's collected?
So I want to ask Mr. St. Patrice Ennis, is it likely that we will see the demands for wage increases moderate or tempered, given the fact that, 3 years ago, the public sector got significant increases?
The public sector got significant increase, I would admit, at the top. We all know that if you increase the permanent secretary's salary and those at the top, then the ministers and the government salaries would follow, because there is a direct correlation with those salaries, right? All the political directorate and so on, and that is consistent in every country. But the main emphasis of the restructuring, or where we look and see the highest form of salary increase, those took place at the top. And the reason for that...
Isn't that a red herring, Mr. Patrice Ennis?
More accurately, isn't that an unfair assessment, St. Patrice Ennis, because there were significant increases granted also at the bottom of the scale in the 100% range, and in the middle of the scale there were constant increases granted to the public sector over the years, whereas the top of the scale was restricted for many years as well.
No, I am not aware of over 200 increase at the bottom of the scale. I am not aware of those. Well, if you know, you tell me.
Well,
I am not aware of those.
I can tell you, I had an experience here a couple of weeks ago. A trade union leader Yes, a former predecessor of yours at JCTU, who said to us right in here that, listen, one of the stories that have not been told well is that the bulk of the increases were directed at the bottom and the middle level. They were the ones who got the biggest increases. But that story has not been really told.
That's not my experience, and I'll say this to you. You will recall, just recall, that the government was guaranteeing a minimum of 20%. Over the 3 years.
Dr. Patrice Ennis, just to point out that based on the research done, the average increase to the public sector wages was 173%. That's the average.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell me that the bottom moved over 200%. I mean, the average, that doesn't tell me exactly. That doesn't disaggregate it for me to tell me that the bottom had 200.
Well, then how about this? Social workers received a 400% increase. Are they at the top of the scale?
No.
I personally am not aware of those figures.
Audiovisual technicians received a 312% increase.
No.
And certainly if this is the average, then
hold on. That a category of social workers, not an individual who perhaps was misaligned, but a category of workers, social workers, got over 400% increase. I am not aware of that kind of movement at the bottom of the scale.
What about nurses? You have the figure there, Siobhan.
I don't have nurses, unfortunately.
It is my experience, and I say this to you, because the figures are there. I don't think and the figures would be empirical, and I don't think I don't think we would be necessarily looking at different figures once they are coming from the Ministry of Finance.
But I don't think we got an answer to the question about your strategy going into the negotiations. As to whether you would.
You didn't ask me that.
No, I asked you, and Cliff reiterated the question about tempering expectations.
No, well, in terms of what we need to do is pay people on merit. It is the case that if persons are deserving and they are indeed performing and indeed contributing and producing, then they ought to be paid on merit. And this is why I said, if you do not want the public sector in certain areas, for example, if you do not want the public sector into certifying the fitness of motor vehicles as it is in certain countries, then that's another argument. But you cannot be expanding these services and say the wage bill must come down. And that is why I say we must determine what the public sector should do and should not do.
So you would support performance-based pay in the public sector?
Well, we are not just performance-based pay. We support paying or compensating people based on performance.
What's the distinction there? What's the distinction?
That doesn't necessarily mean that their basic salary is necessarily determined by that, right? We can have a standard basic, and then you incentivize people based on performance. Because everybody who is there ought to be performing, and if they are not performing, we know that persons can be removed by lack of performance. So we use the appraisal system to weed out who is not performing and manage the public sector properly.
So is it fair to say that you will not be tempering expectations going into the round of negotiations?
We are saying when we go into the negotiation, we will see what the government puts on the table, and it will be determined by what is put on the table, and then we would negotiate. But to negotiate in public, that is something that we cannot do. We will see what the government's position is, and then based on what is being offered, then we, by the process of negotiation.
Dr. Stokes, sorry, St. Patrice, we're running out of time. I want Dr. Stokes to do some public service here, Dr. Stokes. For the Jamaicans who will be listening tomorrow to Minister Williams, what are the key indicators that we should be looking for to tell us whether the government has been prudent or reckless in an election year?
Well, certainly from what we have seen in terms of their fiscal paper, the fiscal projections, we know that the debt to GDP is well anchored in terms of the type of fiscal deficit the government intends to run. So the first key thing you should look out for tomorrow is what the fiscal balance is projected to be in 25-26. We should be running a balanced budget. And what the primary surplus is supposed to be. It's supposed to be around 5.1% of GDP. So those are two key metrics. We should be running a balanced budget, and the primary surplus should be around 5%. And if those two numbers should be good anchors for fiscal policy, as well as what the debt to GDP looks like. And then importantly, what are policies to promote growth? What will government prioritize from a policy perspective going forward?
Okay.
So those are the key things to look at.
Okay.
Siobhan, in a minute or so, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I would like to see some of the onerous business taxes to be dealt with along with that consolidation of the payroll. I think that one has the potential to be a real game changer. If the ministry outlines its plans around that, I would love to see where they plan to take that. And then there was the announcement earlier late last year about the rollout of that new employees insurance scheme. I want to see if that becomes a reality as part of this budget.
The minister will take to her feet at about 3?
Yes, about 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
In the House of Representatives, her maiden presentation, the first woman to deliver a budget in Jamaica. Dr. Adrian Stokes.
Piece of history.
Indeed. Dr. Adrian Stokes and Patrice Ennis, Siobhan Campbell. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Take care, everybody.
Good girl.
6 o'clock. Time for the headlines.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
A minute after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. 28 Jamaicans were murdered over the last 8 days. The grim figure comes amid an overall 26% decline in murders since the start of the year. According to the latest statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, up to March 8, 145 homicides had been committed in the country. That's 51 fewer than the 196 murders recorded in the corresponding period last year. St. Andrew South continues to be a hotspot, leading the country's murder tally with 23 Jamaicans killed in the division since the start of the year. St. Catherine South is second with 16 murders. 5 divisions across the country have seen an increase in murders since the start of the year. They are St. Mary, Portland, St. Andrew South, West Kingston, St. Catherine South, and St. Andrew North. Tax relief remains the key expectation as budget debate opens in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Members of both the private and public sectors expect the government to make good on promises not to increase taxes. Similarly, they expect further tax reductions as a key deliverable when Minister of Finance Favour Williams opens the debate. President of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, Philip Ramson, says the government must stay the course of tax relief. This will not only drive economic development, but also ease the burden on Jamaicans.
we had spoken to her on things like the taxes on dividends, that I thought that would be something that they could consider removing. We also spoke to her about reducing some of the duties on some of the industries that really we don't produce stuff here. For example, on clothing, because with the increase of the threshold when you're importing or you're coming into the airport from $500 to $1,000, it put a lot of pressure on some of the brick and mortar businesses. And so that duty that we have on those businesses is currently at 40% for clothing to bring it down. So we're hoping to see some of that. And also really the threshold on income tax, I think, needs to go up as salaries have gone up over the last year.
Supporting the call for further tax relief is President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, St. Patrice Ennis. However, the JCTU president is also calling on the government to make its intentions clear as to its posture for upcoming wage negotiations. This in light of repeated calls from fiscal monitors to limit expenditure of public sector salaries.
What is happening with respect to the starting of negotiations and whether what the government is contemplating with respect to, you had the Financial Commission making statements in recent times, and you have, which was consistent with what the gentleman from EPOC would have said, and the BOJ governor with respect to restricting payment for the public sector waiver. I don't expect my comment is that I do not expect the minister to make any statement endorsing those sentiments, and and that she's open to a negotiation process, and the process will determine where we end up.
St. Patrice Ennis, JCTU president. Nationwide News understands that PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell has summoned all those it expects to field as candidates to what he describes as an emergency meeting. Dr. Campbell says the meeting is to discuss plans for the upcoming elections. The meeting is scheduled to take place at the Michael University College Lecture Theatre in St. Andrew on Sunday, March 16 at 10 a.m. Campbell gave the instruction in an email sent recently. The email has been obtained by Nationwide News. Dr. Campbell told comrades that attendance at this meeting is mandatory. He ended the email by stating, quote, "Yours in comradeship," and telling the comrades to acknowledge receipt of the correspondence. The move by the PNP General Secretary comes ahead of general elections, which are constitutionally due this year. However, speculation has been intensifying in political circles whether Prime Minister and JLP leader Dr. Andrew Holness will call the general election a few months early. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says new investments are coming for the country's health sector. He was speaking early on Monday at a ceremony to unveil a monument at the National Chest Hospital to honor healthcare workers who died while working to protect Jamaicans during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have been able to increase investment in healthcare. Significant when Minister Tufton comes to speak in the sectoral debate. I'm sure that he will outline the massive investments that we have made, in addition to new plans and in addition to plans to increase the care and heart in healthcare. This means that the next time Jamaica faces a crisis, and there will be another crisis, we just don't know what it is going to be or when it will be, but whenever it is, we are in a better position to respond to crises.
The Prime Minister says the government is committed to building resilience in the health sector.
It is out of a commitment to strengthening the healthcare system and to strengthen the healthcare workforce that we launched the Dr. Barry Wint Memorial Scholarship in 2024, investing $2.5 billion to support 607 students pursuing studies in medical technology, nursing, biomedical engineering, and other critical health-related fields. It ensures that we are building a robust pipeline of professionals dedicated to service in the health sector. And this is a solid commitment of how the government is dealing with building resilience in the system, supporting our professionals, and at the same time ensuring that we can deliver health care with care.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay. Banton Sports is next.
For over 30 years, Chris and Charles has been financing your goals, dreams, creating your great moments. Celebrate the occasion with us. Borrow $1 million, pay less than $25,000 monthly, and get 30% off your processing fees. No guarantor needed. Call 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028. Conditions apply. When you think loan, think Chris and Charles.
At Active Home Center, we've got everything you need to create that perfect spa retreat. From comfort height toilets to the widest selection in faucets and shower enclosures to stylish tubs and the latest trends in bathroom cabinets in various sizes. Our bathroom collection has the perfect fit for every space and every budget. Your relaxing retreat starts here. Visit our showroom in Kingston at 84 Condon Spring Road or Montego Bay at Barnett Tech Park. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. A talent development and management agency, WEI Sport, has unveiled plans to build a state-of-the-art indoor track and field complex in Jamaica. Carl Wilkinson of WEI Sport says the move to build the first of its kind facility in the region is to unlock untapped potential in Jamaica's track and field, and that should be Carl Wilkins. William Mitchell has more.
Wilkins says he's well aware that Jamaica is one of the real heavy hitters in global athletics, but he believes there's more opportunities on which athletes can capitalize.
If you notice, a lot of our athletes don't participate in indoor events overseas much. I mean, they do, but not to the extent that, the Europeans and a lot of the folks. So I just feel that's opportunity there for our athletes to get more involved in international events.
Wilkins argues that temperatures hovering close to 40 degrees Celsius or over 100 degrees Fahrenheit still represents a danger to athletes' health and well-being. According to Wilkins, they're looking at a 2027 opening date for the facility, with plans afoot to break ground in 2026. The facility is projected to cost $12 million, half of which Wilkins has already secured.
But having an indoor facility where we can do training, our kids from prep school coming up, if members want to join and get real good professional training, because we're going to have professional coaches. We're going to have physical therapy situations where you can have that, saunas, things like that. We just want to bring something of class to track and field, that Jamaica don't have.
He says the aim is to nurture young athletes to boost Jamaica's talent pool, using a model similar to the YMCA in America for young participants. Meanwhile, Wilkins says the facility will be in central Jamaica, possibly in St. Anne.
And so we would have the indoor 200-meter track. We have the 60-meter track. We have that, and the high jump, the long jump. All our things that we focus on, 400 and 4x1s, things like that. So I just want to bring it inside a little bit. Now we have...
Wilkins says efforts are underway to engage the government and local track and field bodies like the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association. William Mitchell for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you very much, William. Caribbean football champions Cavalier today received major sponsorship boosts ahead of their crunch showdown with Inter Miami in the second leg of their CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16 tie at the National Stadium on Thursday. Red Stripe will be the official beer partner of the game and will donate $5 million to the club. Sports Development Foundation, SDF, has contributed $10 million, with Cinco has contributed $3.5 million and will be the official hydration partner, while the Jamaica Tourist Board will underwrite the cost of the entire Cavalier aggregation, including players, coaches and backroom staff staying at the Marriott Courtyard for 3 nights leading up to and after the game. Rudolph Speed is technical director at Cavalier, and he told Nationwide Sports that they're happy the hard work is finally paying off.
In life, sometimes you can push, but sometimes you have to pull. I think Cavalier has done a good job in trying to say, listen, this can work, and see it here in Live and Living Color working. As you can see, our model, Caribbean flavor, young players, and based on where we put ourselves, these opportunities would have come where arguably the best player in the world is going to come to Jamaica to play against a local team in a competitive match.
Director of Tourism Donovan White, who hosted today's press briefing, says this is a win-win for Jamaica and its tourism product as well as the football club Cavalier.
It is fortuitous for Jamaica and sports tourism to have this kind of cascade happening at the National Stadium this Thursday. And we felt it was important that the marketing agency for Jamaica around the world help to showcase our local talent, but most importantly, its destination. Inter Miami FC, we anticipate, will be carrying quite a few visitors to Jamaica. They have quite a bit of following in Miami, albeit because of Messi, I'm sure, and they will want to go wherever he goes to watch him play, and we want to welcome them as well.
Meanwhile, the Inter Miami team with the Argentine superstar Leo Messi are due in the island on Wednesday will not have a training session here. They go straight into the game the following day. Cavalier lost the first leg 2-0 in Florida last Thursday. The winner in aggregate over the two legs will advance to the quarter-finals. Newcastle United continue their push for a Champions League spot for next season with a crucial 1-0 win over West Ham United in the English Premier League at the London Stadium today. The Jamaican international Mikel Antonio made a return to the London Stadium for the first time since December when he had that horror crash that many thought had curtailed his career. But there are now talks that he could very well play at some point this season. He's set to rejoin his clubmates in training in a couple of days' time. The Brazilian Bruno Guimarães bagged the winner on 63 minutes.
Here's Barnes. Shot blocked. Barnes again. And it's tucked in. Bruno Guimarães reaching for it. We have a goal just past the hour mark, and it goes to Newcastle United.
Newcastle remains sixth in the standings, but they're joined fifth on points with defending champions Manchester City, who are enjoying a slightly better goal difference. Montego Bay United continues to lead 1-0 over Chapelton Maroons at Sports Time. They are now in the second half of the first game of a Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League doubleheader at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. The goal came on 16 minutes into the game from striker Shanil Thomas. The feature game will see second place Arnett Gardens facing Red Hot Racing United, who are pushing for a top six finish. The game is set to kick off at 7:45. The Jamaica Paralympic Association will again create history when their athletes and members of the executive address the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Cooperation in session on Paralympics Day tomorrow. This will be the first time in Jamaica that the athletes and leadership of a governing sports body address jointly the Municipal Corporation. Jamaica Paralympic Association boss Chris Samuda says there are several events planned for the celebration of Paralympic Week.
Throughout Paralympic Day, March 11, we will have personalities locally and internationally bringing greetings and wishing us happy Paralympic Day. On March 12, in deepening our relationship with the University of the West Indies, we will host at the Undercroft an event billed I'm Phenomenal 360 Degrees Operation on Board. On Saturday, March 15, at the Sir John Golden Rehab Center, our Athletes Commission will be staging I'm Phenomenal, Catch the Spirit, which will be a demonstration of archery, fencing, judo, taekwondo are some of the sports that will be demonstrated. On Sunday, March 16, at the New Testament Church of God, this event will see the movement giving thanks, as we should, for the gift of talent and His grace.
That's Chris Samuda. Coach of West Indies women's senior team Shane Dates has mixed reaction to the Caribbean players during the recent regional Super 50 tournament in St. Kitts and Nevis. Trinidad and Tobago came out on top after beating Barbados by 7 wickets in the final. Meanwhile, dethroned the champions Jamaica, they finished fourth following their 82-run defeat to Guyana in the third place playoff. Dates says it was good to see Trinidad and Tobago rebound from an opening day loss to Jamaica to lift the trophy.
There were some really good positive things and obviously some things that we need to really improve on. It was great to see Trinidad really fight back from a loss in their first game, fight back to take out the title. And they really had some good plans and executed their plans. The strategy is really good. So that was real positive. I could see that, they changed their game plans and how they went around trying to get the win. So that was a good, from a strategic point of view, and seeing good captaincy by Ramrak stepping up as she did for us in the game against Bangladesh. So that was real positive. I think the spin bowling in whole across the whole tournament was really good and probably a positive.
And he continues to have concerns over the batsmen.
The main thing that's standing out to me was the batting and the lack of scores, and the low strike rates, no big hundreds made by anyone in the whole tournament. So the batting side of it, and particularly playing against spin bowling, is a bit of a concern moving forward, particularly the younger players not really having big scores and dominate the tournament, which we need them to do to start learning to be international cricketers and to also start pushing for their selection in the West Indies team.
West Indies women's team coach Shane Dates, and that's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
Yes, it's tax time. March 17 is the due date for your income tax returns. Self-employed individuals are required to file their annual returns SO4 and estimated return SO4A with income tax, education tax, NHT and NIS due and payable on one return. Companies are required to file the ITO2, which is the annual return, and the estimated return ITO7. Visit jamaicatax.gov.jm or call 888-TAX-HELP for details. Tax Administration Jamaica, working together to serve you even better.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Jackama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. 3 parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid tie to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO.
I-P-O.
With Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Special good evening to our YouTubers. As a matter of fact, let me pull them up right now so I can see what they're talking about. There we go. Special good evening to you folks over on YouTube. As always, feel free to participate in today's Public Opinion. Right, so tax relief remains the key expectation as the budget debate opens in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, which is Tomorrow, members of both the private and public sector expect the government to make good on promises to not increase taxes, and similarly, they expect further tax reductions as a key deliverable when the Finance Minister, Fayval Williams, opens tomorrow's debate. On Tuesday, Minister Williams will give better particulars as to the government's spending plans for the upcoming fiscal year. The $1.3 trillion budget was tabled in the House of Representatives last month. Expectations are high among Jamaicans as this budget will take the government into the next general elections, with polls suggesting a tight and competitive race. So it's only fair to ask folks one day before the opening of the budget debate what they expect from the budget presentation. So that's what we decided to ask you today. What are your expectations? What are you expecting from Fayval Williams' budget presentation tomorrow? Let's take a look at some of the answers we have here. We're going to start with Instagram. And when we go on Instagram, we see Dave Hall 166 who says, cut spending so the Reach and Sparks will die on the way. Nicole Whitaker says the beating of the desk will be louder than her voice. Chris Duncan says budget for the people to benefit. What else we have here? Liana 5 says abolished mandatory NHT contribution for persons paying a mortgage and a reduction in property taxes. Bookhand 3749 says she's going to say no new taxes when in reality people can't buy food as the prices increase daily. Miss Casey says hope that hospitals and clinics get taken care of like the roads. King Kells 876 says another tax credit please, wouldn't mind it being yearly as a give back to hardworking Jamaicans. Jamani Queen Mom says $100 million sent to my account. All right, man. We keep going. Boss Lady 3873 says history in the making. Philip King 233 says I hope we get another tax credit. Delroy Hay says I expect her to put me to sleep. She will give a comprehensive layout of how she will manage the economy, but in a lackluster way. Then we go over to X. We'll look over X. Voice of Truth kicks us off in the X comments. They say substance over hype. Archangel 1111 says more money for big infrastructure development, the $20,000 reverse income tax credit for those who didn't qualify for the first round, a low-tier fixed price for electricity for poor families, especially in the ghetto areas. This will significantly assist in reducing theft. K-Nats Hutchinson says, I expect her to be herself. Steady and measured. It will take some getting used to after Dr. Clark, but she's confident in this role and that confidence will shine through. A layman's point of view, Madam Minister will present real initiatives geared towards enabling more Jamaicans to prosper. G. James Palmer says, a clear and concise presentation on the state of our finance and how she plans to not only spend but fund the 2025-2026 budget. President says they're expecting no new taxes and no wage freeze. Graham Jervis is expecting no new net taxes and praying for a 1% drop in GCT. DA is hoping for a tax threshold increase. Betty James is hoping for increase for pensioners and a reduction in GCT. Afghanistan Rasta is expecting to see that, Jamaica is developing at an unprecedented level compared to 22 years of stagnation. Jasia wants to see the equivalent of a reverse tax credit for us. Bad News expects to see nothing spectacular. The economy is in recession, revenue underperformed, blah, blah, blah. And Christopher Clark says a boring, monotonous recitation of fiscal achievements and a plan resulting in anemic growth and wretchedness for most of us. So that's what we have on Instagram and X. If we go over to Facebook, the last platform we're going to check before we ask the YouTubers to give us what they think's going to happen tomorrow in the budget presentation, what they expect to see. We got a lot of Facebook comments, so let's see which of these we can get through. Othniel Blair kicks us off. He says he's expecting to see no new taxes, a proper outline of new economic plans, and the already well-managed economy. Cleveland Richards says that she'll continue the good work of Dr. Clark, that all Jamaicans will benefit. George Elliott says no new taxes again. Fabian Smith says, I'm expecting her to do well. She may not be able to beat and teach them like Dr. Clark. We keep going. Bever Baker says, no new tax would be enough for me because I love to build. Brian Cameron says, nothing less than her immediate predecessor. Derek McCreath says, real good news for the people of Jamaica and all Jamaican citizens. What else we have here? Sansi Senoj says, pretty much the same fiscally responsible, sober budget. Not a run-with-it budget, but also mindful that it is an election budget. All right. Carlington Bartley says, I'm expecting a woman's touch frugal to the max, and at the same time turning around to make fashion. We keep going. Public sector wage increase, says Philip Kidd. Georgina Bridson says, she's as brilliant as Dr. Nigel Clark. I'm expecting a good job. Andrew Edwards says he's expecting action and a bag of chat. Prince Wellington says, oh, the same nothingness that we had to pay for when she was in former ministries. Hopeton Cranston says, I'm expecting very good news about no new taxes and public sector worker wage increases that our debt is still paying. Philip Jackson will end us off. He says, not fireworks, but composed and educational and measured fiscal responsibility, not in the interest of winning an election, but to keep the country on a safe path of development. But let's see what the YouTubers say. And immediately as I open the YouTube chat, I see no new taxes by both Stargirl and Carl Welsh. They're going to kick us off. They believe they're going to hear Minister Williams announce no new taxes tomorrow. All right, let's keep going through, see what we can find. Kirk Powell says she's going to surprise us all. But how is she going to surprise us all? Kirk, you can't leave us hanging there. Rick says he's expecting Minister Williams to make land more accessible. Bev Thompson is expecting no new taxes and lowering of GCT on food items. Jam Grand says, all I know is that we'll have a well-delivered budget. Favel will give us a new budget, no flamboyant speech, says Lorna Davis. We keep going. Good night, Mr. Stewart. Hi, Jacqueline Thomas. Welcome to Public Opinion. Ooh, Tam has a pretty long answer. Number one, Tam says they're expecting to announce a reduction or a removal of GCT on some food items. They're also expecting subsidy or tax relief on farm capital expenditure for farmers to boost food production. And third, they're expecting a removal or a reduction tax on some utility bills for residents. All right, man. What else do we have here? Which of these are readable? Which of these are even answers? That's the question. Let's see. What's this? Devon White says, it's baffling how Jamaicans can wish doom for their own country. This is self-defeating. All right, we keep going. Second Chances says they're expecting no new taxes in tomorrow's budget presentation. All right. Eileen Beecher says, no new taxes. You're going to see the real Favel Williams on the move. Betsy Powell says Miss Williams will deliver. What else do we have here? Geneva says looking for a sober, informative, no run with it presentation. She should be herself and not try to copy Dr. Clark. I am rooting for her. Conroy Smith is expecting a lot of goodies. Gertrude Brown says she will do pretty well. And Silly Billy Wallace says she's a woman. She's going to do a great job for Jamaica. Patrick Samuel says continued fiscal prudence is what they're expecting in tomorrow's budget presentation. Yes, she will do well. That's the words of Sharon Forbes. And Ian is going to end today. He says he's expecting no new taxes. So there you have it, folks. Those are the predictions, but we're not going to know if they come true unless you tune in tomorrow and listen to Minister Williams' opening budget presentation. Right? So that's Public Opinion for today, Monday, March 10. We're going to move on now to the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:33.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is...
It's 28 degrees Celsius in both Kingston and Montego Bay. Good evening with the Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The mid-sized R Hotel in New Kingston has been listed for a sale at a price of US $16.5 million. The property is being marketed by Andrew Issa of Caldwell Banker Jamaica, who says short-term rentals are biting into the business that would normally flow to hotels. Spanning some 57,000 square feet, the 48-room hotel at Renfrew Road has been in operation since 2018 after a decade of planning and construction. It was designed by architect Evan Williams, who also operates the property. Majority funding for the hotel was provided by investor Joe Bogdanovich and Williams. Over the past 7 years, the R Hotel has faced growing competition from short-term rentals as well as other business hotels. Kingston has added major competitors such as AC by Marriott, Courtyard by Marriott, and the ROK Hotel. Moreover, short-term rental listings in Kingston, particularly on platforms like Airbnb, have surged by 75% from 2010 listings in 2022 to 3,500 in 2025, according to research. Canada's most populous province, Ontario, is slapping a retaliatory 25% surcharge on electricity it sends to U.S. states in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff on Canadian goods. Ontario leader Doug Ford confirmed the move in a news conference on Monday morning, saying it will increase costs to about US $10 per megawatt hour for the US customers. Roughly 1.5 million American homes in the northern border states of New York, Michigan, and Minnesota will be impacted. Ford said that the surcharge on energy will remain until the threat of tariffs from the US is gone for good. He added that Ontario will be using the revenue from its retaliatory tariffs on energy to support local workers and businesses impacted by US tariffs on Canada. And finally, in the currency markets, it cost $157.84 to buy $1 US. It cost 202 Jamaican dollars and 15 cents to buy £1 and it costs 110 Jamaican dollars and 28 cents to buy $1 Canadian. That's the Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned. It's time for the nation's business.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance. Just in case your bank crash dead, no need to put your hands by your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it, or throw a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposits we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and billing society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
For generations, Jamaican families have trusted Imperial Optical to keep their vision clear and their style sharp. From their first eye exam to the latest in fashion frames, we've been there for every milestone, every moment, and every memory. Whether it's your child's first day at school or your grandparents' golden years, our care spans every age, every stage. Visit Imperial Optical today. Generations of care, generations of trust.
The National Land Agency assists landowners to register their land under the Systematic Land Registration Program. Systematic Land Registration is the orderly and methodical way of registering land within a designated project area. For more info on whether your community is covered under the Systematic Land Registration Program, visit nla.gov.jm for a list of all the declared project areas or call 876-750-5263. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal. To serve you better.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Nationwide 90 FM, the station for the very latest in news and current affairs, will broadcast live the opening budget presentation by the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honourable Favour Williams. On Tuesday, March 11, the Honourable Favour Williams will put forward the government's plans to finance the budget for 2025 to 2026. That's a live broadcast of Finance Minister the Honourable Favour Williams' opening budget presentation, Tuesday, March 11 from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Due to this live broadcast, the E-Zone will not be aired on Tuesday, March 11.
Big news! The Big Bite Food Safety Show now airs on Nationwide 90 FM with your host, Alison Richards, the Food Safety Girl. Join Alison every Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. as she serves up expert advice, tips, and insights on everything food safety. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and remember, food safety is everybody's business. Don't miss a bite of the action. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This week's episode takes you behind the shelves, ensuring your supermarket food is safe.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 6:42 in the evening. And that makes it time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Cliff Hughes.
We're turning our attention now to the concerns of the Duns River craft traders. They're worried about ongoing development of the park. Now, the Urban Development Corporation, the UDC, has sought to reaffirm its commitment to craft vendors as it continues plans to redevelop the Duns River Falls and Park in St. Ann as a premier attraction site. This follows concerns from the craft traders that the development will steer visitors away from the craft market.
The UDC sought to put those concerns to rest in a statement today. It says the vendors remain an integral part of the Duns River experience. To this end, the UDC says it has maintained open dialogue with the craft people.
It says the goal is to enhance opportunities for them, including training, business development support, and facilitating multiple stakeholder meetings. The UDC says it is open to discussions on how to better showcase the craftsmanship and cultural offerings of vendors, ensuring a more inclusive tourism experience.
Joining us now to discuss further, we have the president of the Duns River Craft Traders Association, Devon Mitchell, consultant corporate relations and marketing at Urban Development Corporation, Kimberly McLeod, and deputy general manager, subsidiary management and revenue generation, with responsibility for Duns River Falls and Urban Park Development Corporation, Sherlock Glenister. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Mr. Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Mitchell, let me start with you. What exactly are your members concerned about?
Well, I think within myself that before we maybe start to have, intensive dialogue with the Urban Development Corporation representatives, I think that they were a little concerned about, the development and the transformation thereof. But I have gotten the opportunity to I've been going to meetings, with both political representative, our member of parliament and Minister Samuda, along with the general manager, Mr. Onigan, and deputy general manager, where I see where there has been somewhat adamant.
Hold on, Mr. Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Before we get to what has happened, the meetings and so on, what exactly was the concern? Let's take a break. Hold on. Let's take a time signal and come back and answer that.
This time signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now
15 minutes to 7. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're assessing the concerns of craft traders at the Duns River Attraction. We have with us the president of the Duns River Craft Traders Association, Devon Mitchell, consultant corporate relations and marketing she's a consultant for corporate relations and marketing at the UDC, Kimberly McLeod, and deputy general manager, subsidiary management and revenue generation, with responsibility for the Falls and Park at the UDC, Sherlock Glenister. Before the break, Mr. Mitchell, you were explaining to me what the challenge is exactly.
I assume the challenges that they were facing is maybe sensitization, lack of communication at the time, because they didn't knowledgeable that whatsoever development that UDC was going to carry out, that the craft market was going to incorporate, with their development. But as I said before, when we have gone to those meetings, with those political representatives and UDC representatives, and they outline certain things for us, we take the initiative, to go back to our member and share the information with them. So I assume that the concern that they have had yesterday, they don't have that type of concern anymore. Because the information has been trickled down to the leadership of the organization, where we have taken the initiative to go back and speak to them about the development and the transformation thereof.
So your initial concern was a lack of communication. Can I put it that way?
I don't want to altogether say lack of communication. Timely communication. I think with myself that the communication maybe wasn't done on time. So we were hearing, bits and pieces, here and there, right? Before they came to us and have those level of meetings with us. Now, since, our political representatives have intervened and orchestrated a meeting, even a meeting that they orchestrated was even on a Sunday. So that is just an indication to show you how much they care, for us as craft people, or Jamaican on a whole, right? So they orchestrate those meetings and they sat down with us and they outline. I'm not altogether saying that, we are 100% comfortable because we want to see, maybe the blueprint of how the place is going to develop and how it's going to really impact on us, whether positively or negatively. But at the same time, the meetings that we have been having, as a president of the organization, I am somewhat satisfied at this moment.
Let me bring in Mr. Glenister, Sherlock Glenister. You're the Deputy General Manager at UDC. What is the plan for the development of Duns River and how those plans would impact on the vendors?
Okay, good afternoon.
Good evening.
Well, we have, in the procurement process as we speak, a request for a master plan for the entire Duns River Falls. So what this master plan we are asking for is for creative minds, the architects, the urban planners, to tell us UDC, how they can see the overall vision of the park will be going. And that would include, food and beverage, shopping, and the shopping would, of course, we'd have to take into consideration our craft traders. We're looking at additional offerings, additional fun things to do at the park. The spine of the park, which is the falls, will not change. So we are building activities around the park so that we can give our guests a better experience. And a better experience includes, as I said, the food, include the shopping experience, and also our staff experience as well. What do we offer to our staff and how comfortable our staff is, and generally the flow of the park. We would have acquired this park over 50 years ago, and we haven't had a major planned development of the site, and this is what we're trying to achieve, especially where we want to go and continue to be a world-class facility. So and in terms of what Mr. Mitchell has said, of course, we would have started engagement. We have engaged them. We would have let them know what we don't know, and we don't know what we would have said we want to, as I mentioned earlier, about 5 or 6 things that we would want to see in the park. And we are now awaiting a bid submission. Is supposed to be in March, end of March 26th, to be exact, that we're expecting the master plan bids to come in. And when I say the bids, it is the selection of a bidder, and that bidder would have to now engage stakeholders in the community to develop that plan. So that plan is not going to be developed until another about 6 months thereafter we would have selected a successful bidder. So we don't have any blueprint or any drawings at this point in time. What we will do is that we'll have engagement, and one of the things that we ask is a vision setting meeting as part of the deliverable. And that vision setting meeting will be taking place with stakeholders, and one of our main stakeholders will be the car vendors, because they're part of us. I have said to the car vendors that when a customer comes to the site or visitors, they don't know the difference between a car vendor from a UDC staff. It is all UDC family. So the experience that you get throughout the park is an experience of UDC. So they don't go back to TripAdvisor and say, okay, I went to Duns River. Any activity, any experience that they have, customer experience, customer interaction, is entirely inclusive of the craft trader. So it is one big family, one Duns River family.
Yeah.
So, as it is now, Kimberly McLeod, yes, Duns River, what is the linchpin of the experience when you go there? What is climbing the falls? Just that about it?
I think Sherlock is better placed to answer this question.
Sure.
But what he's indicated so far is that the primary attraction is the falls. And of course, you have the craft vendors there. They've indicated some concerns in terms of their ability to interact with tourists, which we are actively working to address. But in terms of the offering, it is primarily the falls, which is why we are seeking now to pursue a comprehensive development plan, which will make more opportunities available for visitor experience. And this is not just for our international visitors, but for our locals as well, so that you have more time spent within the park, and that will also impact the revenue generation abilities of our craft vendors, because the more people you have coming to the park and the more time they spend in the park, then the more opportunities for the craft vendors to market to visitors.
So, Sherlock Glenister, is the park now self-sustaining in terms of revenues generated?
Yes. Yes, we are keeping our heads above the water. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I see. So, Mr. Mitchell, seems like some of you ball out too early.
Well, that's people on a hold. You're going to find that.
Uh-huh.
But as I said before, that we have a team. We have a very, very good team that's working with right now. As you know, I said before that, our member of parliament don't leave us out.
Who is that?
Right, we have...
Who is their member?
Matthew Samuda.
Oh, Northeast Santa Ana, yeah.
Right,
Uh-huh.
yeah. He don't leave us out. The same Charlotte right there, that is on the program right now. We have been having constant dialogue. He don't leave us out. He understand, our pain, and, they're putting things in place in order to make our life better.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it seems as if it's about to go on with the stakeholders. What struck me, Sherlock, you said you're visioning that you're about to embark on. You have all your stakeholders involved in that process?
As I said, that a part of the deliverable is a vision setting meeting, and yes, we will work with a consultant, whoever is selected. So they will come with their expertise to say, definitely. But we would say for sure, the staff, our craft traders, some of our tour operators, locals alike, to get their feedback. I guess they'll ask questions about what they would like to see in the next 10 to 15 years at Duns River, and put something together for the management team of UDC to review and sign off on. I'm sure they would come with their own ideas of, some of the stakeholders they would want to include in order to get their feedback, in order to feed this plan, to ensure that we have the best plan for the park. It is our number one attraction in some persons say in the Caribbean. So we want to ensure that we strengthen the already classification that we do have to make it bigger and better for the future.
And Kimberly McLeod, when marketing an attraction like this to locals and of course to foreigners, what goes into the planning for that?
Well, I'm very glad you've asked that, because one of the things we're working on now is a campaign for our local residents to take up the opportunity to visit our parks and attractions, because we don't want there to be the view that Jamaicans do not have the opportunity to enjoy the natural offerings of their country. So we are currently working on a local campaign. I can share with you now that campaign is going to be called Enjoy Your Jamaica, where we will be focusing on encouraging Jamaicans. And you will recall that during COVID, there was something of a campaign along that line, where we encouraged our residents to go to hotels, take advantage of the time period. And so we are pushing that in relation to our local attractions. So as we run marketing campaigns for our international audience, and Duns River, based on its nature and its international repute, sort of does pull a lot of foreigners in, but there needs to be more attractions there for engagement. But whilst we're doing that, we want to encourage our locals to enjoy their Jamaica as well.
Mm-hmm. Is this Kimberly McLeod, formerly of OPM?
Kimberly McLeod of OPM.
Hello, Kimberly.
Hi, Ricardo. Hi, Chris.
Hi. All right, that's how we're going to leave it. Kimberly, Devon Mitchell, and Sherlock Glenister.
May I use this opportunity just to say that the Urban Development Corporation is focused on inclusive development, and whenever we consider any sort of development plan, it always contemplates our stakeholders, whether it is our craft vendors or our citizens. So we just want to make that clear that, inclusive development is what drives the Urban Development Corporation as we make development happen for all Jamaicans.
Yeah. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. This is Nationwide at 5.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy. Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Jamaica's Spark program is investing $45 billion to improve roads, water, and telecom. Better infrastructure for a better future. The time by Spark is
7 o'clock.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. International Women's Day Musings. International Women's Day 2025 was observed March 8, 2025 under the theme Accelerate Action, highlighting the urgency of now in advancing the gender equity agenda. Albeit belated, there is cause for deep thought and reflection on the plight of women in Jamaica. To assess and understand the plight of our women, the conversation must begin by looking at our men. The Jamaican male, generally, is a pitiful caricature of manhood. Let's examine the extent of the crisis with the help of statistics from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica 2011 census. In 2010, the population in Jamaica by gender was males 1,332,700 or 49.3%, and females 1,373,100, 50.7%, almost even. Yet, females did better than males measured by almost every key indicator. Life expectancy at birth, males 68.6 years, females 75.3 years. Literacy rates for persons 15 years old and over. Total population 85.9% literate. Males 80.6% and females 90.8%. Student enrollment at tertiary level, males 31.4%, females 68.6%. Victims of homicide, males 90%, females 10%. Perpetrators of homicide, persons arrested, males 98%, females 2%. It's a common sight and daily ritual in inner city communities to see females with a purposeful gait on their way to work or to attend classes, passing a group of unkempt males sitting on a corner building a spliff or swirling a straw-colored drink in a plastic cup. Why would she want such a lout for anything other than stud services? With such disparity between the sexes, the baby mother and baby father syndrome has become the norm. Over 80% of Jamaican women who have reached the age of marriage and are available for marriage will never be married. The number of children born out of wedlock is almost of the same magnitude. Is it any wonder that an increasing number of women are turning to sperm banks in their desperation to have children? There is also a growing interest in surrogacy as a means of slowing the country's declining birth rate of children conceived through normal sexual intercourse. Possibly in reaction to the recent Caribbean Policy Research Institute Capri study, which debunked claims by the security forces and sections of the media that women play a significant role in organized crime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in a post-cabinet press briefing, called on women, mothers, grandmothers, sisters, girlfriends, to help save their men from a life of crime. That's all well and good, but let's not forget that it's our women who are at a disadvantage in the important areas of their spousal ambition and procreation. There is talk these days about importing workers to fill the island's skill gap. My male listeners may hate me for saying this, but maybe the plan to import workers should extend to importing good and worthwhile men to increase the pool of eligible bachelors for our beleaguered women. Jamaican women deserve better than the men the society is producing. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
March 31, drive away an elegant CX-60, a majestic CX-90, or a nimble CX-5 and get a 2-year service package, 1 year free insurance, free license and registration, plus free window tinting. Conditions apply. Give in to temptation. Visit Executive Motors today. Mazda. Love at first drive.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charles Worth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Win with love. Use your JMMB Money Transfer Prepaid Visa Card from October 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025 for a chance to win your share of a $2.1 million grand prize, plus a $100,000 university cash grant and cash back from paying tolls and shopping with your card. Receive money 24/7 in minutes with Visa Direct via MoneyGram, Zoom, Remitly, or directly through Ria and Zoom. Visit jm.jmmb.com/money-transfer for full details on how to enter and win with love. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Seven minutes after 7. This is Nationwide at 5, and we're going to go to Canada. But just before we go to Canada, Ricardo, you see what's happening in the American markets? The NASDAQ has its worst day since 2022, in part triggered by recession fears,
which the U.S. president is refusing to rule out.
And that, in and of itself, is making the fears even more palpable.
Part of the power of the office of U.S. President, you can move markets with a slight comment.
Exactly. But it's rather fascinating to see what's happening in America, you know.
Is it?
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Because I don't think we've seen a consequence that was not predicted or foretold.
I think what is fascinating is how close and accurate the predictions were. And so quickly, yeah? The chaos. 1 minute you're imposing tariff, the next minute you're not. Then you put them back on. And then the chaos that is with the firing of people or laying off of people. Yeah, you lay off key people to protect your nuclear arsenal. Then have to quickly rehire them. And we knew, but to see it happen so fast.
And here's why I think no one should be surprised. Because if you can credit Donald Trump for anything at all, it is that he tells you exactly what he will do. And then he does it. He told us all of this. In fact, as the Democrats repeatedly said, he wrote it all down.
Yes. The other thing that is really stunning people, the pace at which he's moving to dismantle what has been America.
We should remind ourselves that one of his top strategists, certainly from the first term, Steve Bannon, had advised that this should be the strategy. He called it at the time a flood the zone strategy.
Yes.
He said the media was too stupid, the Democrats were too jellyback weak to respond if there was a sustained assault on the norms in Washington.
And the institutions.
That they could not hold. They could not withstand or resist if there was just a concerted whop every day. And I think that's what we're seeing.
And what it is also doing for people and students of history and society, how vulnerable this great power,
democracy,
the
U.S. democracy,
is. One man and a committed group of people are laying bare that America is not, in terms of its structures and its institutional history and power, is not that strong, you know.
And, you know, it's interesting, Cliff, because it has operated for so long on the, what do you call it now? The decency.
The gentleman's
agreement. Right. That anybody who holds that office would respect those unwritten rules, would not test the outer limits of the power of the presidency. And in some ways, I've always been critical of Jamaica's, what they call it, belt and braces approach to democracy, that the Constitution has so many layers built in that, frankly, it's really hard for a prime minister to become, you know, what Donald Trump has become. But seeing what's unfolding in America, I dare say there may be some wisdom to the belts and braces.
The checks and the balances.
Absolutely, because so easily you can have a man who is unmoored, who just wants to test the outer limits, and a compliant Congress, and unfortunately, a compliant Supreme Court. Because I think the scholars would tell you those two branches were supposed to check the executive impulses.
And they're not.
We're not seeing that so far.
I live to see that a multi-billionaire, unelected man, Elon Musk, can walk into the U.S. government and just with a, we would say with a machete, what did he carry around?
A chainsaw.
A chainsaw. Unelected.
Nobody voted for him.
Nobody voted for him.
But he spent over $200,000.
$200
million, I beg your pardon.
Electing his president.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you've got to ask yourself, where is this going to end? How is it going to end?
I mean, I think in 2 years,
just a moment. Canada, yeah, America's closest neighbor, for hundreds of years, as long as America has been around, yeah, your largest trading partner by far, and you turn on it the way Trump has, and America is largely silent. Yeah, he's gutting the transatlantic alliance that has virtually guaranteed world peace for the last 75, 80 years, since the end of the Second World War.
And you realize that in Ottawa, they're taking it seriously. What started as a joke is now being seen as a serious attempt at annexation.
Yeah.
The outgoing Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, he has been, his tone has shifted. It's clear that he's now taking it seriously. And certainly the incoming Prime Minister is also taking it seriously. This idea that they're trying to cripple the Canadian economy such that there could be an attempt at annexation, something that you couldn't even imagine.
Exactly.
Because the consequences of that would be, I can't even find a word to describe what that would be like for the world order. But again, it's Donald Trump. And he keeps playing around with this idea of the 51st state and Governor Trudeau. Disrespecting the Canadian people, the sovereignty of Canada. I noticed, for example, Canada's king, Charles, was pictured wearing, out of the blue, Canadian military honors while touring a British ship. And of course, royal observers, the monarch is famous for giving hints, symbols.
Right.
Today being Commonwealth Day, he talked about the importance of staying together as a Commonwealth. Canada, of course, being a member of the Commonwealth. And he, of course, he's the head of state. So we watch closely. We'll see what happens.
Well, members of Canada's governing Liberal Party have elected a banker, Mark Carney, to replace Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the former governor of the Canadian Central Bank, and the only non-British man to head. The Bank of England beat 3 rivals in the Liberal Party's leadership contest in a landslide.
And in much of his victory speech, listeners, Carney attacked Trump, who has imposed tariffs on Canada, and said he wants to make the country, as we've been telling you, the 51st U.S. state. Carney is quoted as saying Americans should make no mistake, in trade, as in hockey, Canada will win. Carney is expected to be sworn in the coming days and will lead the Liberals in the next general election, which could be called in the coming weeks. And of course, the Liberals have seen a surge in polling, in part because Canadians are now rallying around their Prime Minister because of Trump's recklessness.
And the interesting thing about that, the opposition leader in Canada, the Conservatives,
Trump 2.0, badly miscalculated. Badly miscalculated.
He was trying to imitate Trump.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, Canadians have never been so united as they are.
To defend their country.
To defend their country. Yes. And that is so for most countries.
Yes.
Yeah? If one man now decide that they're going to invade Jamaica and take over Jamaica, you think it's going to be PNP and JLP?
No,
Jamaicans.
Yeah. We'd rally together.
Yeah. While Carney will take over immediately as Liberal Party leader, Trudeau will remain as Canada's Prime Minister for an undisclosed transitional period while his successor settles in.
Carney, who is now the Prime Minister designate, has never served in elected office. The Liberal leadership race began in January after Trudeau resigned following nearly a decade in office.
He had faced internal pressures to quit over deep unpopularity with voters who were frustrated with a housing crisis and rising cost of living.
More in this report from CNN.
Turning now to Canada, where the man set to become the country's next Prime Minister is striking a defiant tone in the face of threats from the US President. Former central banker Mark Carney was elected on Sunday as the Liberal Party's leader and successor to Justin Trudeau. Among the biggest issues he'll face, growing tensions between Canada and its southern neighbour. On Sunday, he slammed the Trump administration's tariff plans and vowed to keep retaliatory tariffs on the US until, quote, the Americans show us respect.
America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look. We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
His comments coming as the US President ramps up his trade war and calls for Canada to become the 51st state. In an interview that aired Sunday, Mr. Trump said tariffs on some goods from Canada planned for April 2nd, quote, could go up. CNN's Paula Newton is following developments from Ottawa.
Mark Carney's win was overwhelming.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney.
But all eyes are now on the contest to come. As Canada's Prime Minister designate, Carney will be sworn in within days and will likely call for a national election within weeks. Carney is calling for national unity to better face the challenge of the Trump administration and its threat to the Canadian economy.
Right now, all Canadians are being asked to serve in their own ways. We're all being called to stand up for each other and for the Canadian way of life. So let me ask you, who's ready?
Carney is a political novice, a former central bank governor in both Canada and England, a former investment banker with Goldman Sachs, an economist with a hockey goalie pedigree from his days at Harvard. But in the election, he will face conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, a career politician backed by a trending social media presence and the praise of MAGA allies after cutting attacks like this.
Working for Trudeau, Carney made Canada weaker and poorer. Working for himself, Carney made the United States richer and stronger.
President Donald Trump's tariff and annexation threats have reframed the Canadian election in just a matter of weeks, with a rising nationalism and rising popularity for the Liberal Party. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was forced to announce his resignation in January as he grew ever more unpopular. But his Liberal Party has since been reborn with new purpose.
This is a nation-defining moment. Democracy is not a given. Freedom is not a given. Even Canada is not a given.
Those are some of Trudeau's final words as Prime Minister. His successor promises to take on that fight.
Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be conquered. Because a person who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him.
But for weeks already, the Conservatives have been portraying Carney as weak in the face of the American threat.
Trump wants our jobs.
We're going to take other countries' jobs.
And Mark Carney is just the man to help him.
Canadians will now take the measure of Carney's vast economic experience, both in Canada and abroad, and will weigh which leader and party is best able to stand up to the American threat. Paula Newton, CNN, Ottawa.
While Canada's eventual new prime minister is vowing to win a trade war with the U.S., Trump administration officials argue that the tariffs are actually fighting a drug war. They say fentanyl is the reason for the tariffs.
We launched a drug war, not a trade war, and it was part of a negotiation to get Canada and Mexico to stop shipping fentanyl across our borders.
If fentanyl ends, I think these will come off. But if fentanyl does not end or he's uncertain about it, they will stay this way until he is comfortable.
You're saying this really is about fentanyl?
It really is about fentanyl. It really is.
It's worth noting that in the last fiscal year, U.S. border authorities have taken a total of 43 pounds of fentanyl at the Canadian border. That's less than 1% of all fentanyl seized at U.S. borders. Joining me now to talk about all this, Alex Thompson, CNN political analyst and national political reporter at Axios. Ashley Allison, CNN political commentator and former director of the Biden-Harris campaign. And Doug Heye, Republican strategist. Thank you all. Welcome to the group chat. I'm going to start with Alex. I love the weekends because when you come in, you hear everybody's talking points from Sunday, one after another. What does it mean that they're moving this conversation in this direction?
Well, some of this is about legal justification for it because
say that again, legal justification?
Yes, because in order for Trump to have the power to unilaterally do these sort of wide tariffs, you have to have sort of a national security or a security rationale for it. That is why they keep talking. I mean, I think they do have a real policy agenda here, but some of it also is the legal justification.
Okay, Doug, what I'm hearing is this is not cosmetic. I'm coming to you first. Ashley, I'm not forgetting you, but I'm coming to you first because obviously your experience at the RNC, you're a guy who knows about message and how to talk about something publicly. So when you see flooding the zone with drug war, not trade war, what do you hear?
It tells you there's been pushback and they're trying to find new ways to talk about it. And to Alex's point, it's legal. It's also political. That's why we saw the three cabinet members all saying the exact, not sort of things, the exact same words. We're going to hear fentanyl more and more, regardless of what those numbers are. Clearly, fentanyl is coming in massive numbers from the Mexican border. I just crossed the border, did the land crossing over the summer, and you can see just when you're just 10 feet over on the Mexico side or 100 yards on the Mexico side, you can see these kinds of products being sold. That's just not true in Canada. But the political argument's going to remain because they have to make the political argument to make the legal argument.
To be clear, there are fentanyl labs in Canada. That is not necessary. We're not saying they don't exist. We're saying we're not talking about the organized industry that you might see coming out of Mexico. Actually, I remember the Biden-Harris folks during the term really struggling to talk about the border in a way that connected with people, saying we're doing something. So how are you thinking about this now? You know what I mean? What is the, not counter, but what is the argument that could be taken advantage of in this moment?
Well, I think if you consider the Canadian border and the Mexican border, those are, I just feel like two different stories to be told. The reason why Republicans right now are using fentanyl as a distraction almost to what is happening with the tariffs on is because you seem insensitive if you say fentanyl is not an issue when we know that people die from drug overdoses in this country. So we're smart enough as Americans to bifurcate the issue of tariffs and the need to have policies in place and protect people from overdosing from fentanyl. So I would encourage the Democrats not to take the bait here, and counter and be compassionate to folks who are experiencing drug crises in their communities while also saying we want eggs to be cheaper.
Okay, so we are not just nerds into tariffs. I mean, we are, but we're not just nerds into tariffs. I want to play for you something that the president said over the weekend about whether or not the U.S. should expect a recession.
But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us.
Jump ball on great for us or a period of transition? Which phrase strikes your fancy?
Well, this was a case in which the talking points were not all in unison because you had Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on Meet the Press predicting that there would not be a recession. Yeah. And so they were not...
Like categorically, be tape played back to you later if it turns out the other way.
But they've all sort of said that they expect the tariffs to be disruptive. But this is also what they ran on, and they believe that, given the last 30 years of what they call like sort of the hollowing out of the industrial base, that this is about trying to get back to that or address that.
Yeah. I think they ran on tariffs, but I don't think they ran on a bit of a disturbance. I think that, and so I know they didn't, because if they would have, Kamala Harris would have counted them on it, right?
The same way.
And so when people like myself and other folks were saying, watch out, cats, this might not land the way you expect it to land, we were told that we didn't know anything about economic policy.
Trump on tariffs. Yeah? He said it's his favorite word, listeners. So
it's a beautiful word.
Yes, that's what he said. It's his favorite word. So you can expect more and more and more of it. We'll see. 28 minutes after 7. After the break, it will be time for your calls. You know the number as well. 630-9371-4, 618-8255.
Big news! The Big Bite Food Safety Show now airs on Nationwide 90 FM with your host, Alison Richards, the Food Safety Girl. Join Alison every Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. as she serves up expert advice, tips, and insights on everything food safety. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and remember, food safety is everybody's business. Don't miss a bite of the action. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This week's episode takes you behind the shelves, ensuring your supermarket food is safe.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Nationwide 90 FM, the station for the very latest in news and current affairs, will broadcast live the opening budget presentation by the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honourable Fayval Williams. On Tuesday, March 11, the Honourable Fayval Williams will put forward the government's plans to finance the budget for 2025 to 2026. That's a live broadcast of Finance Minister the Honourable Fayval Williams' opening budget presentation, Tuesday, March 11 from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Due to this live broadcast, the E-Zone will not be aired on Tuesday, March 11.
Apply for your Sagicor Bank Preferred Prepaid MasterCard today. Load your remittances for everyday spending. Receive cash transfers from any local bank. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It's 7:30. We're taking your calls now, 630-9371-4, 618-8255. Papa Nana, what going?
Me there, Papa, me there. Oh, is Mr. Hughes, am I right?
Yeah, man, him there with me.
Good evening, Papa Nana.
Yes, sir. Always glad to hear you people's voice. Enough blessing and enough respect.
And to you, my brother.
Yes, and as usual, I need you people guidance.
What happened?
In agreement with Mr. Patterson for saying that he wants to set the record straight.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I want the JLP to do?
Yes.
Is have a documented program called missing without a trace. Missing without a trace.
Who or what is
I
missing
want to
without a trace?
document that program. Missing without a trace. And highlighted some of the misdoing under Mr. Patterson's regime. Like the scandal White House, the Rollins land deal, the FinSac, the Iran, the Shell waiver, all those things. That the people who coming up, young people who don't understand history of what's taking place, and have it on the TV or some radio, even half an hour every week or every day, that they can understand. Missing without a trace. I think that would be a good idea.
You know, Papa Nana, it's something I'm trying to wrap my mind around because I don't on one hand, I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe the strategy is to those comrades who have fond memories of the 70s, because in his set the record straight conversation, Mr. Patterson did speak a lot about Michael Manley. So I said, okay, and the audience seemed to be predominantly older folks. So I said, okay, maybe they're trying to shore up that base of support. But then I said to myself, but at what cost? Because I don't know that with months out to an election, if I were a political strategist or a political advisor, I would want national conversation to be focused on the period of the 1990s. Especially if you're trying to present Mark Golding as new, as different, as being able to lead the country along a different path than it has had under previous PNP administrations. It just don't seem smart to me, and I must be missing something. Because every time I look on social media, the conversations I'm hearing in media is debt, high crime rate, poverty rate went up. Why would you want to focus voters, even some older voters, who may have said, pass? Why you want to rile up people and possibly also consolidate the JLP's base? Because there is a segment of the population, the anger is palpable. When you read the comments and you listen to the commentary. I just don't understand. I don't understand.
Listen to me. You are a young man. And let me tell you something. I don't even like to remember what took place under the watchful eyes of Mr. Patterson. Did you? I don't know. I know you people read a lot. You remember what Ronnie Tweed said?
He told me.
The greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich take place under the watchful eyes of the PNP government.
He told me that. I was interviewing him when he told me that.
But you know what bothers me more than all? Is to know that the PNP, well, they have PhD, which means permanent head damage. And
that was a Mutty Perkins creation.
Oh, I see.
Not Papa Nana.
Well, and you know what Andrew have?
No, what is he have?
Common sense degree, CSD.
Oh, I see.
All yes, right. You understand? Because I can't understand Mr. Patterson at all. I just cannot understand why would they draw back for a man like that.
Yeah.
I cannot, and then you know what hurt me more
and if I could also say to Papa Nana, and then young people who perhaps have never heard of these things and are going to vote for the first time since this government took office, because I realized, Cliff, 9 years, somebody who was 10, they're going to be eligible to vote for the first time, and may have never heard any of this.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is what you want to focus their attention on? I don't get it.
I think he had a chip on his shoulder. Let me ask you people something. Is Mr. Patterson pension tied to this present Prime Minister pay?
Yes.
So let me ask you something. Mr. Holness did not take his own.
Right.
Oh, that is what bothers Mr. Patterson then. Because if Mr. Holness don't take his own, then Mr. Patterson
he can't get it. He can't get the big increase.
Jesus Christ, you never see smoke without fire. My God, rest in peace, Mr. Patterson. Take care of
Mr. Patterson is very much alive, Papa Nana.
My God, what a disgrace.
With a strong voice for his age.
I think he is an embarrassment to man and a disgrace to God, I am telling you.
Wow.
It is.
Clear yourself.
All right. Ricardo, I said it this morning because it is really baffling me. What could have motivated him to come out of retirement after nearly 20 years to return to the battlefield and to style himself as the opening batsman, a man of 89 years old.
Yeah.
PJ is 89 years old. There must be some logical reasoning.
The only thing I could settle on as I surveilled the audience, listened to much of what he said, is that the strategy is to shore up that older demographic. Because he was met with a lot of applause and catcalling and that kind of a thing when he reflecting a lot on Manly. I keep saying it, most of the reflection was about Manly. Yeah? And how monumental...
Which would fit into that because Manly is an icon among that older set of Jamaicans.
And so I'm saying, okay, maybe that is it. Maybe that is it. It's a key voting demographic for the party. So maybe. But again, the trade-off, what you lose...
Not making sense.
Not to me. No. Michael, good evening.
Hi, good evening, sir. How are you this evening?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, Michael. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hughes.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, man?
In a day, sir.
Is Michael from Blue Mountain?
Coffee Country.
Man.
Oh.
I listen to Excelsior Youth.
Oh,
that's you.
Yes.
Guys, Excelsior Youth, you know. You hearing me?
Yes, man. We're hearing you.
So what's on your mind this evening?
Yeah. Well, if I'm mind this evening, as I talk, the old people then with the pension, the type money where them a give old people for pension, man, retired people, that extra small one. Yeah, because when you look for retired people, you give $8,000, $12,000, $4,000 for some recorded one. The plain things that, man, and look how the Prime Minister and even Mr. Patterson did them want to raise.
You mean the pension? Oh yes, the pension.
Yeah, the pension. This all man we go in at the army, serve police, teacher, and you want to see the money where them a get, man.
Why?
Yes,
you get a pension?
A step up on them. They need even a 500% step up, man.
500%.
Yeah, then if you get all one $8,000, 5 years of party. Yeah, cause if them here run the country good, man, this should it should have gone. Cause as you talk about them long time days when they got farm work in the early 70s, you know, man. 80 cents for $1 Jamaican dollar, 51 US dollar, you know. And the man then take bad management and make the dollar climb. When it reach $5.50, Mr. Siago stable cars it there. After Mr. Siago pull out and thing, the dollar slide gone over $100. Imagine you have to give a man $100 for your dollar, $51 and that time we used to give them 80 cents for one of them dollars in the early days, you know, when the dollar change over from pound to dollars, you know. Yeah, so them now run the things like how they do. You have to give a man $100 thing, $100, meanwhile 80 cents you used to give him seat, man. And the independent Jamaica joke them a joke. And the next thing, you know, if you check out the coffee business, you know, because I always have to talk about it, you know.
Every night you come, Michael, me tell you the same thing about the coffee business. So I don't have a new answer for you.
All right. When the next thing I want to remind you about the bridge you have to go over Sincona, Davis, Azalite, Westfield, and them place there.
Oh, yes. I did say I was going to talk to your MP about that for you.
Yeah, man. I like it to work. And the next one, you know, from 1962, PNP and GLP take over. And them can't build a bridge down a flat bridge, the whole bridge is just a kill off people. So, man, that's a simple thing to deal, man.
All right, Michael, hear you. Have a run. Every night, without fear, the coffee business. Every night. I was telling me the same thing every night. Patrick, good evening.
Hey, Ricardo.
How are you?
Not too bad. Mr. Hughes?
Good evening, Patrick.
Yeah, man. King, man. I'm not staying too long, sir. I just need to get a point across. I was listening to, I don't remember his name. I think his name is the gentleman you was talking about.
St. Patrice Ennis? St. Patrice Ennis.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, whenever I don't understand these people that represent people, right? Just like how Siobhan doing work, and they check out. You guys check out information to the point where you ask him a question, and it's baffling. And I'm saying to myself, for crying out loud, if anything have to do with news and Mr. Hughes, and know that his team is going to do investigation and get everything on point. So when you come on the radio and we ask you any question, I know you guys are ready for us like that. For a person who's representing people as a union man, how come you don't have those figures when Siobhan said 400% for some people get 400% raise, some get whatever. He's saying that he don't have it. Why are you knowing that you come in a radio station? A powerful radio station where people going to ask you the real questions, not a political question, but the real question that Jamaicans want to get the answer from. And when you ask the question, you're baffling. You don't even know how to answer. Are these people, and these are the people who's representing workers. That's the reason why workers not getting what they want, because who they want to represent them don't even have no idea what they're asking for. And my second point that I need to say, I am glad that Mr. Patterson was there and now Andrew is there. Me, as a 54-year-old man, can compare that time and now. And I know there's a difference. Whether we want to believe it or not, whether you want to put blank blinkers on your eyes or cover your ears, there's a difference, Mr. Hughes. Things is happening. And if you put the comparison with these two prime ministers, come on, man. You can't even hold on an handkerchief to Mr. Andrew. You cannot. So every day we come on the radio, we talk about Patterson. No, let us come with some ideas, man. Let us come with some ideas. We are the callers, and we need to change the trend of what we say when we get the chance to talk on the radio station so people can hear you. Let us come with some new ideas, man. We're not worried about Patterson. Patterson is not running. You understand? Let us deal with who is in power now. If Mr. Golding not coming with no ideas, and you see what is happening in the country, force him to come with some ideas. You guys, you gentlemen have
okay, sir.
Night.
All right, Patrick, thanks for the call. All right, let's take a break. Come back with more.
The national budget is everybody's business because it impacts every Jamaican. The time brought to you by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service is
7:45.
For women standing tall and strong, Sagicor celebrates International Women's Day all month long. For her day, her deals. 7,500 bonus points on new Sagicor Bank credit cards. Special rates on auto loans and mortgages. Discounted trading fees from Sagicor Investments. A free dash cam or tire inflator with Ultimate Woman Auto Insurance from Advantage General Insurance. Plus, tailored products like our Sagicor Life Total Woman Life Insurance Plan. Accelerate action towards financial empowerment. Call 888 Sagicor. Conditions apply.
Coveside Concert Series presents Timeless. It happens on March 29 at Plantation Cove, St. Anne. Featuring international superstar Dionne Warwick and more stars Myrna Hague, Queen Marcia Griffiths, and Dwayne Stevens. Timeless, March 29. Showtime is 8 p.m. and tickets are now available at Fesco, Fontana Pharmacy, Plantation Smokehouse, and online at coveside.aitix.com.
Brother, the government has sell them shares in a Trans-Jamaican highway, you know?
Yeah, man, have them big money there.
Nah, man, all you need is at least $3,600. You can
On the road. Trans-Jamaican Highway offer for sale opens March 4 and closes March 18, 2025. Visit NCB Capital Markets Limited Go IPO website at goipo.jncb.com or JMMB Moneyline to apply for shares. Conditions apply. Investing involves risks. Please review the prospectus and speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions.
We're still taking your calls. 630-9371-2461-88255. Mikey B, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Master Cliff.
Good evening. Good evening, Mikey.
How are you doing?
Doing all right.
We're good.
Mr. Cliff.
Yes, sir.
I think I don't really encourage drinking, but I think you should buy Sir George a round for his commentary this morning. You know, when I listened to him, man, it was brilliant. George was brilliant this morning. The way he addresses the issue as it pertaining to the former Prime Minister, PJ. Honestly, I give him 2 thumbs up. And Mr. Hughes, I thought you would play about the man thing in 10 o'clock today, man. You don't believe in paying back good things? Mr. Hughes,
I know that is a joke. Did you hear me make reference to what George said this morning?
I hear you, Mr. Hughes.
Okay.
You can't open your mouth on the radio, I'm not here.
Okay.
You can't hold. If you even cough me here,
Okay.
already have flu me here. So trust me, every single thing.
So you'd like us to rebroadcast George's commentary this morning?
Of course.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
And you'd want us to rebroadcast it in another hour as well?
Well, them time that you know your listenership down after your program, but when you're doing it at prime time because your show want to be the big show.
But you know, George's program,
going to tell you that your show should have been the big show.
Nationwide this morning is rebroadcast, you know.
I know that, but by the time, you know, say, working people have to find other things to do, you know.
You're gonna
you catch it. Yeah, not really, but you have other things to do, you know. I
wonder what that.
Information right now.
What other things you have to do that you can't listen while you do it?
Well, other things, Mr. Hughes, come on, you know, other things.
Do you not listen while you do other things?
Anyway.
Make you perform better?
Oh, Lord.
Mr. Hughes, why is the PMP relying on PJ to lead them to victory? Don't they realize that the strategy that Mr. Patterson uses is no longer effective? And don't they realize that his election winning was because of the JLP machine was not up to standard?
And the JLP was very bitterly divided among itself.
And as you notice that we come close. In 2002.
Yes.
And that's when we come back together.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mr. Patterson, and nobody talking about that. After that election, didn't we go on to win the local government election? Didn't go on to sweep the local government election about 2 years after that, a year after that?
A year after that, in 2003.
Yes, we sweep him. So Mr. Patterson, well, like Mr. Siago never defeat him. Nobody wants to talk about that, but he was defeated in the last local government election, and because of that, he just resigned. Mm-hmm. Because he wanted to preserve a record. Mm-hmm. And trust me, to use Mr. Patterson now with the type of record, my children who are in their 20s start to ask me what really go on in the 90s. And I start to tell them Mutual Life, Life of Jamaica, Blaze Trust, Century Bank. And they are saying that really, and Mr. Patterson is talking about one SSL, and you have so much business go on now.
In that period, not only those banks you have named, 40,000 businesses went under.
Exactly.
40,000.
What happened to the old people? What happened to the pensioners for those people? He's calling now for suit and pretending as if he's sorry for people who have lost at SSL. What happened to those hundreds of thousands of people who have committed suicide? This country, under the great Dr. Michael Andrew Holness, will not go back to those reckless and caring time. We are going forward, and I'm telling you, under this Jamaica Labour Party, the country is growing. It may not be growing as we want it, but it's a far better place. Debt is going down. Soon and very soon, we may start to sleep with our windows open. Trust me. Because we are a caring government who knows what he's doing. And you notice how Anjana talk, Dr. Anjana talking, him just working, him not on the stage, but rare and promising things, because he's laser focused. We are doing the talking for him. Because when him talk, sure, when him talk, people have to listen. Right here now? I'm telling you to big up my party. And Mr. Patterson, take George's advice. Big up to your George.
Right.
I drink chill.
All right, Mikey B. Mr. Portmore.
Hello, good evening, good night.
Hello, good evening. Good evening.
Sayus, I know you have a young man there with you and he's learning. And you're the teacher. And one thing I want to say about Mr. Patterson, I'm happy that he came out and speak, because what was dead is now coming alive. And the more him speak, is the more people go and cut him down to size. I listen to George, we tape it, we listen to George, and we listen it over and over again. I heard you today, and you were brilliant. The teacher was at his best. I have with me a gentleman, Mr. Barrett, Patrick Barrett. He's the caretaker for the East Division in St. Catherine Southern. I know he would love to say a word or two to you. I don't know if you would mind that.
No, put him on.
Mr. Barrett. Good evening, Mr. You. How are you, sir?
I'm alive.
Great. Patrick Barrett, Council Caretaker for the Greater Portmore East Division.
Uh-huh.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right.
Great. Well, sir, I've always listened to your program, and, the program well put together, well orchestrated, and we must commend you for the great work you're doing. We listened to Mr. Patterson over the last couple of days talking nonsense and, his hypocrisy. I'm wondering what Mr. Patterson is thinking while he's talking, because in no way he can ever talk about performance. The People's National Party underperformed during the 90s, and when they realize that we're now outperforming them, they're coming to talk nonsense. And we want Mr. Patterson to understand that the Jamaica Labour Party is here to stay. We are going to be the party of action. We are the future for the Jamaican people. And in no way we are going to be turning back. So what Mr. Patterson is saying, he needs to just go sit down, take a seat and read his Gleaner, because trust me, we are not turning back. We are not turning back. And they're talking about Portmore being a parish. If they understood what it is, it meant to be a parish, then they would have done that a long time ago. They don't understand what development is. They have no understanding of what running a country, much less a community, is about. So, when they talk, people are just there and they're just laughing, and they're asking for an election. They're going to be getting an election. And let's see what they're going to do when it comes, because right now as it is, we are going to be taking more seats up on top of what we have.
All right, sir. Thanks for the call. The Labourites keep saying that. I wanna try to come to Mr. Patterson's defense. I wanna try, and you can counter me. He made a point that I reflected on for a little bit. They point about the social upheaval that would have happened and the fraying of the social fabric, these are my words, that would have occurred had he allowed, as he was advised by the multilaterals, that in a free market, you don't intervene. Yeah? People do what they do, it don't go how you plan, and it collapses. That's how it is. His reasoning was that he had to, because it risked the complete collapse of the society, and most importantly, he said, trust and confidence in the state, in the government, and in the capacity of just Jamaica to stand up and protect the small depositor. I thought there was some value in that.
But my perspective on it, having lived through it, you don't get to say that when you were responsible for setting the house on fire.
You were warned.
He was warned, yes? And he was warned more than once, yeah? He and Omar Davis, through their stewardship of the economy, set the whole damn house on fire. So therefore, yeah, you don't get praises for whatever you use to put out that fire.
Siaga would have warned them.
Siaga warned them.
So my research, because after I thought there was a point there, I went to research whether he was warned, and I did come across it.
Yes,
I was trying to mount an
warned.
argument.
I remember the day in the parliament when Siaga told Davis, yeah, this was happening. We are gathering steam towards the edge of the precipice. You have to act now. And Omar Davis dismissed him as being his usual alarmist, anti-Jamaican self. Yeah? So you can't give him credits for whatever was the solution. And even the solution that he came up with, yeah? One of the most wicked decision of that period was when people who had invested all their life, savings and effort, came to FinSAC and said, based on the interest rates, my debt is now up to $2 million. I can't find $2 million, but I have $1 million, or I have less than the $2 million. And they refused that. And they sold that debt for cents in the dollar to a man, Jocelyn, out of Texas. Yeah? And he didn't give them $2 million. He gave them much less than $2. And they did not take it from those Jamaicans who wanted to salvage their business. It was the most wicked act. And that is why Jamaicans will never, those of us who lived through that period, will never forgive or forget.
I tried, Mr. Pattison. I tried. Dana Davey, thank you so much. Andrew Glenn Anderson, thank you, boss. My colleagues in the newsroom, the very best in the business, led by our editor, Cara Powell, our callers, contributors, and you, our valued listeners. We appreciate you so much. Good evening to the YouTubers. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Cliff Hughes, reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.
Good night.
It's tax season. Time to reach for your checkbook or dole out the cash. Or maybe